Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our next edition of The Circle, brought to you by Catholic Vitality 360. I am Bernard Dumond, happy to be with you this morning as we take a look at the 7 circles of Catholic vitality. We're also going to look this morning at the V7 assessment system and how to integrate this process into your school. So let's begin, as we always do, with an opening prayer and welcome. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. We thank you, Lord, for this season of Lent. We ask you to bless our efforts as we begin to look forward to Palm Sunday and Holy Week and the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We ask you to give us the wisdom during this time to discover, to go through the challenges, to act on behalf of our Catholic faith, and ultimately to grow in our appreciation for putting Jesus Christ at the center of our lives. We ask you to bless all those gathered here for their need to grow and to venture into new areas of professional development. May they be a leader in their school and bring back ideas that will transform the culture. For this we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Once again, thank you all for being with us, and happy Friday as we move into perhaps the Easter break, or some of you are on break right now in terms of spring break and moving into the Easter season. And I want to thank you all for being here as we begin to develop more topics and areas of growth and discussion with the Vitality Collective. This is brought to you by a part of our vision, which is called the Vitality Collective. It's a place to learn, to share, to grow, to collaborate, and to discover. And this is for you. I want you to gather ideas, bring it back to your team, begin to implement, experiment, discover new ways of growth and innovation as we explore various topics for discussion. Today's format will be, as always, about 30 or 35 minutes of discussion, and then we will have some time for questions. Let's begin by considering this idea of vitality. And for many of us, this may be a new idea or a new concept or something that is new to their school community. What is vitality? And I want you to think about this duality here in this quote that says, growth and comfort do not coexist. And so there is some discomfort in perhaps considering this new process of vitality. What is Catholic vitality? What is school vitality? What is different about that? How can it help my school? How do I introduce that? It's very much okay to have questions. And so we hope to partner with you in those questions and partner with you to implement this process. The idea of vitality certainly is something we would like to pursue, and that's certainly the goal in our school. The goal is to have a school of vitality. And I'm going to share with you today the 7 circles of vitality and how to implement that into your school. We often talk about this in our coaching processes and also our on-site partnerships, that this is an important concept to understand, that there are events happening, E plus R equal O. The events that are happening to you today and with your staff and with your academic life and religious life and finance life of the school, those are event type activities. Some things are within our control and some things are outside of our control. So events take place and you're confronted with those events. The important thing to understand is that the key here is our response to those events. It's not what happens, it's what you do in response to those events that will determine the outcomes. So think about something that you've had to deal with in your school community in the last, 30 days or 60 days. Something happened. something with parents, something with students, maybe an academic issue or discipline or finances or enrollment. You're very concerned right now. This is enrollment season for your school, and perhaps you're concerned about marketing and student life and bringing parents and students into your school. Those are events. The key is the response, and be able to respond with the mindset of vitality. That response will determine your outcome. So this concept of vitality is going to give you the tools to respond to situations with the mindset and the framework and a system that is going to promote vitality and growth. In this particular case, we say in any situation or event, find the truth, no blaming, no complaining, look for the best options, build the mission of the school, which is paramount, anything that's going to promote vitality, and then get on to the work. So we believe that the response right now is to be a school of vitality. And you want to start using that language, the creation and integration of these key 7 components and systems that contribute to the growth, promotion, and sustainability of the school in all areas. Innovation is celebrated, and all efforts support this priority of being a school of vitality. And so why school vitality? Why focus on this? Because this is our goal. We want to be a school of vitality. And vitality denotes that you are a healthy school. You are a growing school. You're a school that has the mindset of mission, a growth mindset. You're here to serve not only the mission, but your students and parents and the larger Catholic Church. We're here to serve, and we want to be a school of distinction. We look at school vitality first in recognizing the enemies of school vitality. And this, if this resonates with you, please take it to heart, that perhaps in the life of your school, you seem to be in a comfort zone or resistance to change. And that is the enemy of vitality. We want to be growing, we want innovation, and we want to be open to change. We need to be conscious of negative attitudes in the building. The they versus we mentality. That is they over there, okay? They do this, they want this, they decided, rather than we want this, we decided, we're going to achieve this together, right? And the enemy of school vitality, no vision, right? No compelling vision. Can you tell me what the vision is moving forward, academically, spiritually, enrollment, marketing, financially, facilities, student life? What is that vision? And are we following the vision? We may have something on paper, but more importantly, are we following that vision? The enemy of school vitality also is poor communication, and I want to address some of the communication issues that may be happening in your school. We had a leadership coaching session recently with a principal and a director of advancement, and we had an interesting, back and forth and conversation about what is required for good quality communication. And then, of course, autocratic leadership. In order to build a culture of school vitality, therefore, there's some things to think about. And those things are to encourage and reward innovation and new ideas. What is that like in your building? Is there a reward or a mindset of innovation? Let's come up with new ideas academically, spiritually, how to serve our students, all of that, okay? In schools of vitality, they jettison negativity and promote positive solutions. We also see a vision that's created and implemented, not sporadically, but there's a Monday morning plan, there's a monthly plan, there's a annual plan. We're working on the vision. All of us in the building are responsible for promoting and compelling that vision forward. We empower others in a school of vitality to experiment and to grow, and there is a respect and a dignity in the building. And then we create good systems. I want to talk about this as we get into the 7 circles of vitality, the importance of systems thinking, how to think of these 7 components, not as individual components, but as a system of 7 framework ideas, and then how to set up the V7 Vitality team. As we think about school vitality, this is an interesting process to think about here. Your school vitality is in direct proportion to the quality of your relationships, the vision of the school, and its processes, right? Relationships, vision, and processes. Those three will be the key to sustaining, creating ongoing school vitality. It's a mindset that leads to strategy that is ultimately executed. That strategy is executed for this concept of vitality to grow. One of the things we're most proud about at Catholic Vitality 360 is where to start, right? This is a process of the vitality assessment tool is a process of where to begin. This also is on our website. This assessment tool, the V7 scorecard, is on our website. You can go to our website and find the scorecard, and you can take the assessment live, and it will calculate your score on the website. You can print that out and share it with your team. So first of all, to understand the 7 circles of vitality, what are they, how to utilize them, and begin to think about how this is a system and a framework for success. Then go ahead as an individual and as a team to complete the V7 assessment scorecard. This gives you an indication of where things may be in your school in terms of the scorecard process. And you can do this individually and then share it with the team. So you take the scorecard and then share the results with your team. The purpose of this is to have conversations about areas of growth and improvement. And I'll go over this as we get into the individual 7 areas. To think about the 7 circles as a system of interconnected parts, not individual components, but system thinking is that all of this is connected. Decisions are connected. When we make decisions, we place within those decisions the framework of the 7 circles. And how does this decision impact all 7 of these areas? How does it impact leadership and finances and academics and enrollment and marketing and student life? This decision we're going to make has an impact on all 7 areas. That's the beginning of systems thinking, is to understand decision-making within the context of the 7 circles. And I'll show you how this leadership team, the V7 Vitality leadership team, can determine how to put this into place with a team that's looking at decision-making within the context of the 7 circles. I also mentioned this here at the bottom, the hole in the boat strategy, which I've used in a number of my workshops. A number of my workshops have then, we've looked at the vitality assessment, and instead of thinking, well, we've got all these different strategies or issues to address, we pick one. And this is called the hole in the boat strategy. The hole in the boat strategy says, based on the assessment, what is our most pressing need right now? You know, the analogy is you're in the boat, right? And we have water coming in, and we've got to plug the hole. And that hole may be enrollment, it may be finances, it may be marketing, it may be an academic issue, it may be leadership or staffing or student life, but that is one step closer to achieving vitality if we do not get overwhelmed, but we think of, okay, this is one thing that we can do. And that's called the hole in the boat strategy. And a number of schools have started with that. Once the assessment is completed, they start working on the hole in the boat strategy. So this is a look at the assessment tool, which is, first of all, a graphic on the 7 circles of Catholic vitality. It is important to note that there is also a version of this for parishes and a version of this for schools. And today we're looking at the school version of the 7 circles of Catholic vitality. So if you look at our publications and website and all of our coaching, there is a parish component to this, there is a diocesan component to this, and then there is a school component. Today we'll look at the school piece. So just to look at the areas that we are focused on here, we have, first of all, at the top in green, the first area of vitality is visionary leadership. And at the school level, we look for focused and aligned teams, okay? Focused and aligned teams, not disaligned or disjointed, all moving in different directions, but aligned teams. Which means the leadership team, the academic team, the finance team, the facilities team, the student life team, the religious ed team, all of those, the enrollment committee, the marketing team, advancement team. These are teams all aligned together around the 7 circles, and we can measure that. We also have our mission, the red here going around the circle in red, mission in motion. And we want to see Catholic values and a strong mission there. We have in blue education and formation, which is on the academic piece. And certainly a School of Vitality has quality academics, and they're moving towards that each day. We also have in red here, or orange at the bottom, moving towards the bottom, we have a communications process, and within communications is marketing. So the big umbrella is communications. And then we have marketing, which is very much to tell a story and some calls to action. We have general communication about the school. Okay. We have marketing, which is another step in that process. And then we could take another step in green here, a strategic enrollment plan, right? So you have communication, we have marketing, and we have enrollment. So communication is the broad umbrella of information we want to get out. Marketing talks about our school in a very specific way, how to get people engaged in our school, marketing the school, branding the school, right? And then we have the call to action to join our school family with your family, and that's enrollment, okay? And in future workshops, we're going to handle marketing and enrollment and some other issues there as we move through this. Moving up through the blue here, we have a thriving community has dynamic student life. Students actually love going to your school and love the culture of the school, and we're connecting them with their faith life. And students are thriving. There's a diversity of activities in the school, and students are growing in their faith. They're growing academically. They're growing in all aspects, relationally and relationships and friends and clubs and organizations. There is a dynamic sense of student life, and that's the people we're there to serve. Okay. One of the little phrases I heard one year at a workshop was, our job every day for students is to make their day, right? We're going to make their day, because when their parents say, how was your day? We want that to be a positive response. So student life, very important. And then finally up here around the circle in orange at the top, we have financial viability with sound funding models. We can do an entire workshop, and we have, on different funding models. We need to move away from tuition as the primary or just the model of finances. We need to be creative about planned gifts, endowments, major gifts, business, corporate partnerships. We need new revenue streams, and we can work with you on that as well. So those are the 7. And then on the flip side of the graphic here is the actual scorecard. And you will find this on our website. We can send it to you. I have it. I have one with me here. It's a cardstock piece, and you're welcome to let us know if you need these. We can make copies for you. I'll bring these to Dallas for the convention in a couple of weeks, and you can pick those up. I'll have some at the session that I'm doing on branding and marketing. And so these are the 7 circles then, and they're broken out here based on the assessment areas per circle, okay? So each of the circles has 5 different assessment areas, and you're evaluating them on a scale of 1 to 4. So individually and as a team, we recommend that individually you fill this out, and for each of the components, there is a 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you can add up that total score in the upper right-hand space. So 1 for that area is not evident, 2 is it's emerging. 3, it's operational. And 4, it's highly functional in your school. And then you would add that up per item. Of course, the highest score there is 20. So 20 times 7, of course, 140, which is the highest score. And you would go through this and fill it out and then come up with your composite score. And this is to facilitate a conversation. It is not to facilitate disagreement or arguments, but a conversation. So we often say, fill it out individually and then come to the table as a group, as a leadership team, and discuss the scores. And I've done this and facilitated this where one member of the team may have given that item a 2 or 3, but somebody else gave it a 1. So what we want to have here is a conversation about why is it a 2 or why is it a 3, and then build consensus around your score. Okay, you want to come out of this exercise with your team. You can have 3 or 4 different conversations and meetings, but you want to come out with a consensus on the score. We all agree as a team that this is our composite score. It may be an 85, it may be a 105, it may be a 135, but we agree internally. This is an internal exercise. This is not presented to your parents. This is not on the website. This is not a video. This is not a, presentation to your parent groups. This is on the inside, internally, for discussion purposes with an eye on growth. Okay, with an eye on growth. Coming out of this exercise, where are the 2, 3, or 4 areas of growth? Okay. And so I have here just the ones broken down, and you can go through this either as a recorded video, or we can do this here in terms of just to see briefly what are the areas that we're looking at here. Okay, so you have visionary leadership. You have the mission in motion and Catholic values. It talks about a mission statement and faculty and staff model and promote faith life. You have culture and activity. You have partnerships. You have liturgy. All of that is there. Again, 1 to 4. You have the academic piece. You have articulated learning expectations. You have professional development. All these are under the academic areas. You have the communication and marketing piece. You need to have a marketing plan, right? And all of that is there. You have growth and enrollment. You have a marketing plan. You have protocols. You have a plan. You have marketing pieces. You have a committee there. Okay. Student life, same items. You have formation. You have diverse activities. You have service and social justice in there. You have students involved in visioning and activities. And all of it is student-centered. And then you have the funding piece, okay? You have a finance committee. You have a budget. You have good stewardship, all of that. Again, 1 to 4, how are we doing, okay? So this would be then what to fill out individually, and then bring it to your team and have a conversation. The goal is to reach consensus on the outcome and get moving on growth and strategy. And so how do you transition from the assessment into something practical that is going to promote vitality and really promote this concept of a system, right? These 7 areas are a system. So we call this next step the V7 leadership team, right? I don't want to add more to your plate, but perhaps looking at the current leadership team and reorganizing that around the 7 circles, right? When these 7 or 8 or 9 people are gathered together, there are conversations about the 7 circles, about decisions, about current activities, about the next 30 days or 60 days. How do we make the best decisions for our school in the context of the 7 circles, right? So this leadership team is established, and the first thing is that they understand the V7 assessment scorecard, right? And the results. And we create a system of growth in each circle, right? Each circle then, based on the assessment, we have 2 or 3 strategies in each of the 7, right? That would then become, interestingly enough, a school strategic vision. When we talk about strategic planning, Our template now looks a lot like the 7 circles. So think about it. We can use different versions of this, maybe the NCEA benchmarks or other versions of this, but we want the 7 circles to be included in your strategic vision for your school. Everything from leadership to academics to enrollment to finances to student life, all of that is in the strategic vision. The V7 leadership team has a leader for each circle. And so there's a coordinator for that particular circle. So as we envision this team, right, maybe you're reorganizing your leadership team, there are people that are going to be champions for each of the circle. I have someone in charge of leadership, someone in charge of mission and Catholic identity, someone in charge of academics, someone in charge of marketing, enrollment, student life, and finances. That's your new leadership team. And what are they doing? They're meeting as usual, but there's lots of discussion around the 7 circles. Let's make decisions mindful of the 7 circles. Through the template of the 7 circles, through the mindset or the vision or the lens of the 7 circles of Catholic vitality. How does that decision, which is a great question, how does that decision we're about to make impact the other circles? If we're making a decision about enrollment or budget or marketing or student life, it has a ripple effect throughout the other circles. And someone from another circle may say, let's consider that decision within the context of leadership or within the context of student life or marketing or enrollment, right? So that's where it begins to take shape. When this team of like-minded people in the building internally, and maybe it can extend to the advisory council. I've had some schools tell me that they've reorganized their advisory council of parents and others around the 7 circles, right? This group meets monthly or more often than that and may have some one-on-one sessions too, and they can begin to work on the hole in the boat strategy as well. So these are just some things that I put together that pertain to the V7 system. I'm not going to read them in the interest of time because we want to get to some discussion points as we continue this session today. But as we implement the V7 system, there is vision around the circles. There are goals and strategies and communication. We think about the who in that system. Who's on the team? What are their ideas? How do we collaborate? How do we do mindstorming sessions? All of that. What do they work on? They work on a vision map. They work on an action plan. They work on alignment of all these ideas. They work on design and growth and they innovate and they engage with each other. There's processes in the how. There's tactics, all of that, budgeting, management, all of that. So if you want to know more about this, I'd be happy to sit with you and share the components of it. We're working with several schools right now on implementing this, and we're in the early stages, and so far it's gone well, and they can see the benefits of this. So the system connects to the 7 circles. Once again, the mindset of a system. It's a mindset. It's a framework that becomes a system of how you do your business, how the mission comes to life, right? A mindset, a framework, and a system. Decisions are not made in a vacuum. Decisions are not made just because there's one singular consideration. Decisions are made now with the question of how does it impact these other areas. So there's the use of the assessment tool. The leadership team is in place. There's a process of systems thinking. Everything is connected. The hallmark of systems thinking is that everything in your school is connected. There is nothing that stands alone. Our mission is paramount. The vision drives the mission. And then there are good systems in place. And decisions are made within the context of that system. There is a vision map, not only for the entire school, but each of these circles. The vision map basically says it's a roadmap for success. How we're going to move this forward. What is the journey going to look like? What are strategies? What's the process? All of that. There's an action plan, strategies, and then finally, the system is aligned around the 7. One of the things I'm looking for in the teaching of this and in the partnership of these schools is to say, we are making decisions now that are aligned with all 7 circles. The decision brought forward in our meetings was considered within the context of every circle. We looked at the funding dynamic. We looked at student life, the impact of that. We looked at enrollment and marketing and academics and our mission and values. We looked at this decision in the context of those 7 components. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to add many layers, but it's a process, right? And once you begin the process and start doing it, it becomes part of the culture. We also like this quote that when you're putting a system in place, we want to make sure that everybody in your boat, right? We're all in the same boat, is rowing and not drilling holes when you're not looking. Okay, so this concept of the boat, right? We're all in the same boat. The metaphor for your school is this boat here, and we're all in it. Everybody's in it, from faculty and staff and students and parents and everyone. Okay, we're in this boat together, and we want to be rowing in the same direction, right? We're rowing together. It's moving forward. Maybe some treacherous waters here and there. And we've got some waves here and there, but we're moving forward. We're working together, right? There's no one in the back causing problems, drilling holes, right? Okay, because we got to fill those holes, right? So think about that in the context of this. And one of the things I want to leave you with is sort of a teaser to think about is the importance of enrollment. And I've said this before, and I just want you to think about this as we transition today and talk about some of the issues here and have our discussion that enrollment is everything and everything is enrollment. Now, on the surface, we just talked about 7 items, right? But all those 7 items can be in the context of being able to grow and sustain enrollment. From leadership, that needs to sustain enrollment, to the areas of your processes, right? All areas of your processes, from marketing, that supports enrollment, to academics supports enrollment, finances, all of that. So without students in the building and families, our mission does not exist. We don't have the Ministry of Catholic Education. So think about enrollment in the context of the 7 as a system, whether you're always growing and thinking about this. Every decision, lesson plan, action item, student interaction, strategy must be considered and focused on building and sustaining enrollment. And so even within the context of the 7 circles, we're focused on enrollment. Okay, so that was a snapshot of the 7 circles and the assessment and the leadership team. And I wanted to just open the floor. We're about 35 minutes in here, and I wanted to open the floor to any questions or insights or thoughts that you might have about anything in the scorecard or in the assessment leadership team area. I did get a question that I wanted to share with you that is in the context of building team and communication. And recently in one of our coaching sessions at a Catholic elementary school, I was coaching with the principal and the director of advancement, and there was a conversation between the 3 of us about how to improve communication within the principal and the director of advancement. There was some concern in that coaching session about some misunderstandings or things that weren't getting done. And so we had a conversation about communication. And I want to say something here in the context of communication about your school. Some of the major issues that are going on right now in your school that you're concerned about have to do with poor communication or just a lack of communication. And what I'd like to share with you are 3 areas of consideration that will improve your communication and build relationships. And this was what I offered to to the principal and the director of advancement as they were struggling with projects and getting things done. And I said, there are 3 things you can focus on that will improve your communication. And here's number 1. The first thing is to practice radical transparency. Radical transparency. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And you're very transparent about that in your communications. And let me give you an example of that. So as a principal, you're asking the director of advancement who handles enrollment to deliver to you a report. Now, an example of this in terms of poor communication could be something like, hey, in the hallway, just in passing, the principal says, hey, I need that enrollment report on my desk. Okay? Well, that's poor communication. It might plant the seed and it might, get her thinking about the report, but it's not very clear and it's not very transparent, right? So a better way to manage that, to be clear about it, to be real transparent, is to say, hey, thank you for working so hard on our enrollment report. I know you've been working on this. I would like to have the report on my desk or in my inbox on Thursday by noon. And here are the 5 data points that I need in the report. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because I have to turn in that report on Tuesday to the diocese. Did you catch that? Right? That is clear and transparent communication. It is, thank you for the work. Here's what I need in the report. Here's when I need the report, because I have to turn in my report to the diocese on Tuesday. So I need your report on Thursday, and I'd like it to contain these 5 data points, and let's work on it, right? Very clear, very transparent. It says exactly what you need to say and why you need it. So that's radical transparency, right? The second communication strategy is to be constant in your communication. This is one thing I find at a number of schools are people that report to the principal or others that you only meet with them every 2 or 3 weeks. Well, that is not the recipe for success, where you're only meeting with them every 2 or 3 weeks. There can be a standing meeting every week, every 2 weeks, something like that. We meet every Tuesday at, 1 o'clock. But you need to have communication within the weeks, right? Within the days. There may be a report or phone calls or emails or some type of formal or informal vehicle to communicate. Why? Because things change daily in the building, right? I need to be out of the building on Thursday, so let's get together on Wednesday. I need that report now on Tuesday because I need to work on it over the weekend, or, it's not due to the diocese until, they moved up the deadline. Okay. So the second communication strategy is constant communication, both formal and informal, and writing it down. It's in my Monday morning email, right? That I need these items, or let's work on these items, right? So constant communication, not sporadically every 3 weeks. And, often I hear things like, well, I didn't understand that, or I didn't hear about that, or I didn't see that, right? Because it was in the hallway in passing at dismissal, and it's just chaotic. So number 1, radical transparency, right? Constant communication, number 2, and 3, clear expectations. This is another big one to improve your communication. That be very clear about the expectations. And in my example earlier about the report, right? We thank you for working so hard on the report, so that acknowledges their work. Number 2, I need the report in my inbox or on my desk by Thursday at noon, right? Clear, right? I need these 5 data points in the report, not a 20-page report on every class level, right, in terms of enrollment, but give me the inquiries, give me the openings in each class, give me the registrations and a report on next year's, overall numbers. I need these 5 data points in the report, right? Clear, right? And then finally, I need that by Thursday at noon, okay? Because I need to have my report to the diocese on Tuesday. Because, right? Using the word because I need to write my report by Tuesday of next week because I need the report, right? On Thursday, okay? So clear in your communications. Radical transparency. Be open and honest. Say what you do what you say. Consistent communication, right? Consistently in writing, formally and informally. And third, be very clear with everyone about expectations. I hear this all the time that I didn't know that was expected of me, or I didn't know I was supposed to do that, right? So in this context of vitality, begin to be mindful of how we communicate. Communicate with transparency, communicate with consistency, communicate with clarity, and analyze that. And we did an exercise in this coaching session recently that made all the difference. And it was when we talked about these 3 items, and I did a little role playing with them. And one of the role playing responses from the principal or from the advancement director was when someone shares something with you, I asked the principal to say, "Thank you for that. I heard you," right? "Thank you for sharing that, and I heard you," right? It doesn't mean you necessarily agree with them, but it acknowledges that you heard them. And that releases some tension about the exchange of conversation. It doesn't say you agree with them or you're going to argue with them. It just simply acknowledges that you heard them. So thank you for sharing that. I heard you. Let's work on a plan to address that. We need to improve our database. We need a new database. And actually, that was the conversation about a contact response database, a donor database. And it was a lot of frustrations, a lot of what ifs, a lot of I didn't know that was my job, a lot of I thought that report was written, I thought the research was done on that, I thought we were ready to pull the trigger on it. And the exercise went around the table, and I asked them to use some language that was going to sort of defuse some potential negativity, and it worked. And so thank you for sharing that. I heard you, and let's talk about the next steps. How can we solve this, right? Being transparent about it, being consistent about it, and being clear about it. The principal said, "I apologize if I did not share what I needed by this date," because there was a date on the calendar to have this purchased and in place, and we were signing up for the training for the new database. And when that wasn't done, that created some tension. And so I facilitated them out of the tension and into the action required to solve this. So your challenge or action item that I want to share with you as we move forward here is to pay attention over the next several weeks of communication within the building. How people speak to each other, what is said in the building, what is said at meetings, what is said one-on-one sessions, how we communicate, right? And begin to think about these 3 strategies. How can I be more transparent about what I need and my values and what I'm trying to accomplish? How can I be more consistent, in my communication? And how can we lay out clear expectations? Everyone deserves and needs expectations. Clear expectations. Okay. Any questions that anyone would like to share, or an experience, or successes you're having, or best practices, any wisdom and insights as we move through the final stages here. We have about 10 minutes remaining. I want to be respectful of your time and answer any questions you may have. Okay. One of the things that I think we need to be mindful of as we look at the months ahead, this is now March 31st, and of course we have the Easter season upon us, and you may be in spring break or get ready to move to spring break, but we basically have April and May and perhaps early June as the remaining 8 or 9 weeks of the school year. So obviously you want to make sure that you finish the year as strong as possible. But on the vitality front, this is the season for enrollment, okay? Certainly you're working on academics and student life, and certainly your budget's in place now, and you're working with teachers and perhaps signing contracts and doing all those things that you would do in March and April, February, March, and April. But this is the season for marketing to be stepped up and enrollment. I do want to tell you of a success story that I heard this week, that one of my principals that we're partnering with, he wants to get the word out about his school. And so he's so concerned about getting the word out that he's using sort of unconventional methods instead of just the website or flyers or, just some newsletters or an open house. This particular principal went to the local grocery store and set up a table at the local grocery store. And it was the school table, the banner, and the tablecloth, and he had school information there at the grocery store. And I thought that was a great strategy to just build awareness of the school. And this is a time to build awareness of your school. People may not know about your school. I always remember when I talk about this at workshops that some people tell me that we don't need to advertise or market our school because we've been here so long that everybody knows us. Well, I sort of chuckle at that because not everybody does know you, although you've been there perhaps a long time. Not everybody does know you. And more importantly, they don't know about you today. Your offerings, what's special about you, all the wonderful people in your school. So just because you've been there for 100 years, you want to tell the story of how you're doing in March, April of 2023. And you want to talk about your mission and your vision and your faculty and staff and and all the areas of vitality. And so we need to perhaps break out of the old model of just the conventional marketing strategies and think about things like parent fans of the school and parent ambassadors and going to local businesses and around the community and telling your story. Religious ed parents in your parish, parishioners making announcements at church and having a school section in the bulletin and getting the word out, word of mouth about your school. So this is a time for enrollment and marketing and tours. Pay attention to your tours. Treat them with respect and treat this as a very important time in the building, all pointing to the concept of school vitality. One of the things we're going to address in our upcoming session, we have another session coming up on April 20th at 11 o'clock, and I want to address one of the 7 circles there, which would be visionary leadership. In particular, the language of leadership and how to build trust in your building. And so that will be the topic for the April 20th version of the circle. And I want you to invite all the members of your team or people on your board. Certainly principals are invited. And let's think about this concept of leadership, certainly visionary leadership, and then how to build trust in your school and in your ability as a leader, and also the language of leadership. And part of it is what I just went through in terms of transparency and consistency and clarity around your language, right? And so as I have observed over the years, great principals speak a certain way, and they use certain language, It's very inclusive and positive. And certainly within the context of vitality, language is very, very important. So we're going to go through that on April 20th at 11 o'clock. Please look for different signups and different marketing pieces as we go through that. And we hope to see you there. I also want to put a plug in for the NCEA convention that'll be going on next week in Dallas. I have a presentation on Tuesday, April 11th, that goes through how to build a marketing strategy around a branding toolkit. And that'll be interesting in terms of sharing that message of how to market your school and what items of branding are in the toolkit. What should you have in the toolkit that tells your story? Marketing is simply storytelling. And so we approach it from a storytelling standpoint. Okay. So we hope to see you in Dallas as we look forward to the NCEA convention. And then on April 20th, we'll have the next circle, which will deal with leadership and building trust. One of the other areas I want to leave you with here as we move to the end of the school year is two items that you may be concerned about, which is how you solve challenges in your school. If I were to ask you, and this is a question that came up from one of our viewers here, one of our participants, is what is the best way to address challenges in your school? Let's say that you've identified 3 challenges, and I like to start with 3. The magic number of 3 is important because 3 is achievable, and we can wrap our mind around 3, and it's not 33 and gets overwhelming. But the top 3 challenges in your school might be retention of quality faculty and staff, it might be enrollment, and it might be academic excellence. And so, first of all, to identify your top 3 challenges and to identify then the barriers that stand in your way. So once the challenges are identified, and agreed upon, step 2 would be, what are the barriers that exist? And in order to move forward, I think it's important to be honest about the barriers. Some of our barriers may be our academic life. Some of our barriers may be our facilities. Some of our barriers might be our leadership, or it might be our marketing plan or lack of a marketing plan. So being honest about the barriers gets you one step closer to the solutions. And so identifying the 3 challenges and also looking at the barriers and then putting together what I call a vision map or strategy map, which would then come up with how do we begin to address these 3 challenges. And this may be an end of the year exercise or a summer exercise as you evaluate moving forward. I do want to say a couple of things as we begin to close about the assessment tool. Once again, you can find it on our website, and you can create this as a conversation tool where you work on it individually and then talk about the different scores, and then bring it together as a way to grow and to innovate in terms of the scores. And as we look at the scores, there's just different levels. There's a red level, a yellow level, and a green level. Not in any punitive way, but just to get a handle on what that is. And I've asked a number of my schools that I've worked with to complete the assessment 3 times a year. And 3 times a year would then give you an aggregate of scores, and hopefully you want those scores to be going up. So the timeline for the scores are: take the assessment in September, you would take it again in January, and then you would take it again in June. And you want to address a lot of those 1s and 2s. You want those to move to perhaps 2s and 3s, or maybe a 4, but you want to see the overall growth in the scores going up. Okay, and so moving through that 3 times a year, addressing the items in the scorecard, getting that team together, talking about vitality, okay, using the word vitality in the school. And some of the messages are the following. Our goal at our school is to be a school of vitality. And vitality means that we are healthy, we are growing, and we have a culture of success within this building. And we can actually measure vitality. And we have a tool for this, right? And so you can cite the assessment tool, you can cite the process, you can involve the parents in this if you'd like, you can involve the advisory council, you can talk about the 7 items, you can have workshopping around this, you can have discussions around it, you can bring in people to help you with the different areas, and then begin to build that leadership team around the 7 circles. And so I wish you all the best as we conclude our session today, as we come up on an hour here. It's gone by really quickly, and I want to say thank you for joining us today. And please email us with comments as you have ideas and you come up with areas that you'd like us to present. This is an activity for you and with you. And we do this because we like to reach out to school leaders and offer some insights and strategies, but we do it because you're there and we'd like to help you. And so if you have any topics or anything you'd like us to address in upcoming sessions, please let us know. We'd love to see you in Dallas. Come by the session. The session I'm doing on Tuesday is at 3:45, so check the program. Come by and say hello and we can chat. You can pick up a scorecard, come learn more about marketing, and we're here to help you. So if you need anything, we're here for you. The Vitality Collective is here for you. And if you'd like to join us in further discussions or get in touch with us, please do so. It is our ministry to be a part of this with you, and we look forward to interacting with more schools as we move forward in the sessions, and we look forward to NCEA and other sessions that we will share with you. Okay. So thank you for joining us today, and we wish you a happy Easter and a good Holy Week, and we'll see you at the next session. Stay in touch with us, and we'll be in touch with you. God bless you, and thank you for all your hard work within the ministry of Catholic education. Thank you so much. Have a great day.